By the end of the 50s, with Miss America and her sexier rival, Miss Universe, firmly entrenched as TV moneymakers, the beauty pageant world as we know it today was largely in place. Those bright lights now meant big business.
Pageantry is a sport, and I did not realize that until I became a pageant girl. But I've done most sports, and I have never trained harder than I did for this pageant. I worked out with the football team. I worked with a trainer 3 hours a day. I rode 15 miles on a bike. And these girls are just as fit as any football player.
The production is amazing. You never know what goes on behind the scenes until you see it in person.
Yeah.
It could be said that the first beauty contest occurred in ancient Greek mythology, when Paris proclaimed Helen of Troy the loveliest lady in the land. But female beauty isn't a myth, it's an ideal, one which men have always pursued and to which women have always aspired.
People watching is something we've all done all of our lives. Looking at talented, exquisite women with a command of sometimes several languages and high IQs is not a bad way to spend the time of day, and I have a feeling they won't go away.
Beauty pageants, in some form or another, they're always going to be around because they answer that almost primeval question of who is the prettiest.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth.
More than 50 different circuses tour the United States each year. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry which entertains millions of people. And we owe it all, or at least a lot of it, to that remarkable showman, P.T. Barnum.
Show on earth.
The circus seemed to be Barnum's destiny. Everything he did from childhood on led him to this, the greatest show on earth. Barnum didn't just break new ground promoting his show, he pioneered its many technical and creative innovations. The traditional European circus, which was also the prevalent style in America at the time, was a one-ring show. Barnum ordered tents big enough for 10,000 people, which meant not everyone would be able to see what was going on in one ring.
P.T. Barnum, being an American, wanted something different. He wanted to make it bigger and better than the circuses were in Europe. So he came up with the idea with, instead of one ring, why don't we try 3 rings?
And with this single brilliant stroke, the modern circus was born.
Barnum was a visionary in the sense that if 2 elephants were good, 50 elephants were better. If 5 sequins were good, then 100,000 sequins was better. This is the one place in the entertainment world where less is not more is more.
Next, Barnum got his larger-than-life circus moving on a whole new track.
The circus that Barnum had in the 1870s, the first year was a wagon show. The technological advance that came on them right away was the railroad.
The railroad was literally the leading edge of the Industrial Revolution. It cut across America's heartland, linking hundreds of small towns which before could only be reached by horse-drawn wagon or by telegraph wire. The great steam locomotives also connected the nation's 4 major ports, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and New Orleans, transforming them almost overnight into modern cities, where vast factories paid higher wages to millions of new workers. Barnum saw this new nation hurtling toward the next century as one big marketplace of limitless possibilities. And if anyone knew how to exploit a market big time, it was P.T. Barnum.
Imagine the turn of the century where there wasn't a lot of entertainment. This was a man who was willing to bring all of that amazement, all of the science and all of the entertainment to you in Keokuk, Iowa, or you in you know, out there USA.
Barnum even invented catchphrases which not only helped promote his circus, they have since become common slang. For instance, jumbo.
Most people don't realize that we have jumbo shrimp and jumbo mortgages and jumbo eggs today because of Jumbo the elephant.
Rain or shine meant the show would go on under the big top, no matter what the weather outside. Let's get the show on the road, was the cry heard when it was time to move the circus to a new location. People had to hold their horses because Barnum's elephants were parading down the main street of their town. Grandstanding referred to VIPs who would visit the circus grandstand to be seen by the public. And throwing one's hat into the ring began when a politician literally threw his hat into the circus ring from the grandstand to signify his decision to run for re-election. But the most memorable phrase concocted by P.T. Barnum was heard for the very first time in 1872 when he decided to call his circus the greatest show on earth.
The legacy is all around us. What this is and what we do here at the circus is bigger and better than ever. I think the legacy is alive and well when you look out into the audience, too. Every day from where I stand, I look into an audience of tens of thousands of children. If you look into a kid's eyes, you can see that the amazement and the wonder that P.T. Barnum wanted to get across are still very much alive. I firmly believe that were Barnum to walk on the lot today, not only would he recognize his circus, but I think he would be pleased.
Romeo and Juliet, we're so glad at last we met. You're the greatest in the greatest show.
You're positive. You have the HIV virus. This thing could get you tomorrow. Then what happens to your son?
My mom doesn't have AIDS. You shouldn't be doing this to me! I am not doing this to you!
I wouldn't trust strangers to pick a family for my kid. I want to pick them.
Linda Hamilton is Rosemary Holmstrom in a compelling true story.
How the hell do I rip out my heart and hand it over to a stranger?
On the set of A Mother's Prayer, a special USA Pictures original.
Once more, starting position.
This is the story of a normal mother from Brooklyn who finds out very unexpectedly that she has AIDS. Her husband has died. She assumes that she got it from him in a blood transfusion that he'd had years earlier.
Aren't you scared?
Yeah. Mostly for TJ. Who am I gonna leave him to?
I'm Joanne Wasserman, New York Daily News. What can I do for you?
I'm 34, I'm dying of AIDS, and I need to find a home for my 8-year-old boy.
Rosemary and TJ in real life were very much like Linda Hamilton and Netta Fox. They were more than mother and son. They were almost best friends.
Magic Johnson has what you have, and he played in the Olympics.
What's your point? I guess the biggest problem for me was just making sure that every moment of it is truthful.
I know you don't hate me. You hate what's happening, but you love me, right? So say it. I don't want to say it.
I'm angry, sad, and I love her all at the same time, and it brings out some pretty interesting emotions.
He's mad at me all the time.
He's got to pull away from you, so it hurts less.
You see her struggle with the difficulty of giving her child away. And, that's where it hits me every time. Can't believe I'm sitting here with a complete stranger who wants to adopt my kid.
They are brave folks, heroic folks.
This is Rosemary and TJ Holmstrom.
I'm not a heroic kind of person, but this guy and his wife are.
We will take your boy, and we will raise him like one of our own.
The high desert north of Los Angeles is not a friendly place for man nor beast. But on this remote ranch, man and beast are working together in new and unusual ways.
Stay.
The man is Scott Hart, one of Hollywood's top animal trainers. The beasts are the stars of Strays, a USA world premiere movie.
50 cats, a couple of dogs, 4 rats. It just seems to keep snowballing. I really cannot remember any other feature that would have this many cats on it.
That's because Strays is about a pack of ferocious felines who terrorize a young couple, played by Kathleen Quinlan and Timothy Busfield.
All you people who like those kitty commercials, this is far beyond kitty commercials. I was terrified.
We look at them as these real demure, sweet little, you know. Cats can be pretty scary.
Good girl, that's it. That's it. Now go, baby, go!
And I think that people are fascinated with an animal enigma that has the light side and the dark side that attacks.
I like teaching a cat to go attack a jugular vein. It's something new.
Hart developed some ingenious techniques to train the cats for the realistic and hair-raising actions that propel the film.
I had to put this big one up on my shoulder, and it was growling. I was walking around the rest of the day going, I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared of that cat. Cat didn't scare me. I was scared to death.
His animal's safety is always Hart's first concern.
We make sure American Humane is going to be on the set at all times. I personally make sure all of my animals are going to be treated properly before I even accept a job.
For the more dangerous scenes, special effects wizard Jim Bolden built an array of incredibly lifelike mechanical cats.
We created 20 background cats and 3 animatronic cats. And this is Claus. He's an animatronic cat created for Strays. It takes 5 puppeteers to operate him. You can see some of the head animation that Frank's doing, and his eyes even light up.
How do the human stars feel about sharing the spotlight with their furry counterparts?
Some of them just seem to be real sort of prima donnas.
They don't listen. They don't take direction very well.
They're very sensitive, I guess.
They're very temperamental. They want all the money.
On the set of Strays, a USA world premiere movie.
27 Apple, take 4.
TriStar Pictures presents If Lucy Fell, a new comedy from Eric Schaefer, writer, director, and star of last year's independent hit, My Life's in Turnaround.
Joe, would you drink my spit? You know, like Mother Teresa and the missionaries, they drink the leper's spit. I was just wondering if you'd drink mine.
No, I don't think I'd be interested in that.
Sarah Jessica Parker stars as Lucy. She and her roommate Joe, played by Schaefer, made a serious pact years ago that they have just 1 month to fulfill.
All right, Lucy. What do we say? That if we didn't have wonderful, intimate relationships with serious familial possibilities by the time you turned 30, we would kill ourselves?
Yeah. As you reach 30, I think you start asking yourselves the more serious questions, and so Lucy is asking herself those questions, as is Eric's character.
All right, Lucy, 28 days. I'm going to talk to Jane. You're going to go out with anyone that asks.
May I take you on a date tonight?
8 o'clock?
Great. If nothing changes, you and I jump off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Amsterdam, the greatest port of the world's greatest trading nation, about 350 years ago. We're here to track a story of massive economic development fueled by innovation and a lump of coal. Holland back then was America now. A prosperous world power, financial and cultural centre, and home to the biggest transnational organisation of all time, the Dutch West India and East India Company. Import-export. The idea, import grain, salt, spices, fabrics, sugar from the colonies, and then re-export them all over Europe. Requirement, a cost-effective way to do that. It was this, a Dutch flute, not an instrument, a ship, and not just any ship. They were amazingly long, 6 times their width. Designed for cargo in shallow waters, so an almost flat bottom, easier to load efficiently. Smaller sails, shorter masts, blocks and pulleys handling the sails. Standardized parts, cheap to make in large numbers, cost half as much to build as the nearest competitor.
Witness has worked with partner groups around the world to help them incorporate video into their advocacy campaigns. Groups are using video as evidence in courts, to mobilize and educate people on a grassroots level, and to present their cases to the United Nations. Groups are also working to get their video broadcast on television as well as streaming it over the internet through Witness's website at www.witness.org.
The internet, I think, is an enormously powerful political instrument, and its impact, is only just beginning to be felt. I didn't feel that involved until I did the 2 tours for Amnesty. I started meeting people who'd been tortured, meeting people who'd lost their family, who'd watched their family being killed, and suddenly, you're looking in someone's eyes and they're asking you for help, and it's a very different level of invitation.
And we've tried to use the footage in as interesting as a way as possible.
What they needed was a means of documenting what was going on that would get distributed, and I knew that if we could get the video evidence, that we could do a lot more with it. It was after the beating of Rodney King and the fact that that was recorded on video that everyone realized, yeah, this idea has some currency.
Witness was formed in 1992 by Peter Gabriel and the Lawyers Committee for Human Rights.